What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Trademark. I was trying to think of the adjective of the day, but I was going to say spooky, but I don't think spooky is an adjective. But with Halloween coming up, we'll go ahead and say that it's a spooky episode of the Trademark. And we've got a really exciting guest with us today. We've got Tiffany Arends with us from All American Heating and Plumbing out in Breckenridge, Colorado, which I'm really excited to chat about, that market and everything out there. Tiffany, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing just fine. And I guess with the spirit of the fall festivities and everything like that, what's your question of the day? What's your favorite usage of an apple? Is it, mine personally is apple cider, but everyone's different. Do you have a favorite type of apple treat?
I love sliced apples and cheddar cheese. It's my all-time favorite. Great go-to snack, even on the healthy side. Yeah, it's just one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's a good one. My wife used to take apples and slice them long ways and make these little cookies, and she would put peanut butter and cinnamon on top of it. That was good. There's so much you can do with apples. I think a lot of people just think, oh, apple juice, applesauce, but you can do a lot with them. You can really, use apples a lot. Big Apple fan here. Well, we are super excited. Tiffany's the office manager at All American. And, since I come from the marketing side, we figured today we're going to chat a little bit about marketing and operations and just kind of how the two can work together for your business. So let's go ahead and dig in.
Step into the Trademark, your go-to podcast for everything marketing in the trade. Hosted by award-winning industry marketing experts Sarah Ghirardo from Remarkable and Eric Thomas from Rival Digital. Together, we're here to unite the worlds of trades and marketing, bringing you insights, stories, and strategies from the heart of the industry. Whether you're a trade professional, a marketing expert, or somewhere in between, this is the place for you. Listen in as we're here for the big ideas, the game changers, and the everyday successes. Because at the Trademark, we're with the trades and for the trades.
All right. Tiffany, why don't we go ahead and get started? Just share, with our listeners a little bit more about yourself and kind of what you do on a day-to-day basis.
Well, I've been with All American Heating and Plumbing it was 5 years in June. I worked the first year on site. Our office is actually in Fairplay, but we service the Breckenridge area, Park and Summit counties. After a year, there, some family dynamic stuff, health-wise, we wound up moving back home to Missouri. So for the last 4 years, I've been doing this remotely. I go to Colorado several times a year. I'm actually heading out there next week for our Halloween party because who doesn't love to dress up? But yeah, no, I've been doing this for the last 5 years. It's great. I never knew that I would love something like this, love being involved in something like this, and the satisfaction when you get to help those customers that, their heating unit goes down on Christmas Eve and we can come to the rescue. So.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think a lot of times folks that, a lot of our listeners, a lot of our friends in the industry, it's all we love to just talk about marketing a lot and driving leads and driving phone calls. But I feel like we don't, the conversation doesn't come up enough about, once that phone rings, what happens from there. And it's kind of like the great debate, a lot of times. And I'm in a lot of different marketing groups with, different marketers in the trades, really talented marketers. And the great debate's always the CSRs aren't booking the calls. Well, the leads actually sucked and there was an existing customer. No, it wasn't. Yes, it was. What are some of the things that you all have done, over the years just to, when it comes to the operational side, the booking, the dispatching, what are some of the things you have done, just to make sure that you're getting the most out of those marketing leads that come through?
Well, the 3 ladies that I have in the office, they're great. I mean, their number one goal is to book everything that comes in. once I've hired these ladies, my booking rate doubled. I mean, they're just amazing. It's all about the delivery when they're answering the phone. For us, having just that really personal connection with the customers, making them feel like they're in really good hands, because they are. And from there, the ladies they ask all of the questions. We have our work orders laid out so that our call script is basically all right there in questions. So when they hit every question, they're getting all of that information, which sets our techs up for success. And then our techs go in and they just kill it. They do a great job. Our techs are very personable. They go in, they're knowledgeable, and they make our customers very comfortable. And it just seems to go very, very well from the top, from when that first phone call comes in all the way down to the end of service.
Yeah. So you mentioned when you hired them, your booking rate doubled. Was there anything in particular, that about the process that had changed, or were they just, seasoned CSRs?
It was more, I think, finding the fit, finding the people that fit with us. That's a really big thing for culture and in our office. So finding people that are just, gosh, I just can't say enough good things about these ladies, because their work ethic, and they want to be here. They want to be doing this job. And it makes all the difference. And we make sure we try to keep it at least a little bit fun. We communicate in teams and love sending each other funny little pictures of how that last phone call might have gone, or joking. And just having that relationship with them, I feel like rolls over to the customers, to our technicians. And, like I said, it just kind of starts at the top and it rolls down. So our goal is to keep it happy and light, and hopefully it stays that way for our techs and customers throughout the journey.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always found, like, within any organization, the way that the customer is treated is really a reflection of the health of the internal organization. Like, I just know from my own, I've had some experiences with heating and air companies, just personally, not even with work, but personally at my house, where I'd call and the CSR and the dispatchers and just everything about it was just so unpleasant. And I was like, oh, they sound like they hate their lives. And then the tech go up and they're not any better either. And the work was crap. And it's like, wow, it really, like, it's not just, it's very rare that it's like, oh, it's just that person. Sometimes the person's not a good fit, but most of the time when you get that, it's like, it's really just an outward example of what's actually happening on the inside. So it sounds like, having that strong culture helps a lot. So I guess, just in regards to, like, culture, what are some of the things that you all do internally to help build and promote that culture from within?
Breakfast helps a lot. So Mark, the owner, he makes breakfast for the team a couple times a week, 2 to 3 times a week. If he can't make breakfast, there's always something there for the guys to grab. Everyone comes to the shop every morning. Everyone gets to see each other every morning. There's a lot of razzing that goes on. I mean, as you can imagine, with a group of guys, but we've got this whole dynamic going on right now with the crew. Everybody is they're friends and they get along, and it's just, oh, you need this part off my truck, I'll be right there. No problem. I mean, I think it's just as much them as it is us trying to foster the culture. They're very in tune with it. And I think Mark does a really great job of encouraging it.
Yeah. Do you have any times when you were there where the culture may have taken a hit? And what were some of the things that you all did to try to help correct course there and kind of get it back heading in the right direction?
Yeah, we've definitely had that. My early days there, being in this role, because I didn't even start in this role, it just kind of fell into it when some changes were made, and it was new to me. So there was learning and some headbutting going on, and I myself finally kind of just took a step back, and it's like, why is this happening? And just kind of had to really look in to see why from my end. turns out me and that person were a lot alike. And so that's where we ran into that. And as soon as we figured it out, we were fine. But, sometimes you just have to turn inward to see what the problem is. And because it's not always outside. So,
Yeah.
And then just addressing it, having those conversations and keeping the dialogue open.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. I think this is a great thing to chat about, just the culture thing, because I truly believe, kind of like you were saying, your booking rate doubled, and now the team is really jiving and getting along, and that is all because of the culture. And a good culture can do amazing things for a company, and a bad culture can do devastatingly horrible things for a company. And so, but I think that everyone listening can agree that, like, we've all been there, good, bad, indifferent, and it's definitely something to always be working on. But, something I've found too with culture in times when it's a little rocky is, like you said, to look inward, and wonder, like, is it me? Is it, what is it? And then having the emotional intelligence, empathize with folks and wonder, like, if it is a particular person, like, what's going on? Is it something at the company? Is it something at home? Because, like, that one person can really drag it down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess in times of, so you had mentioned, having times where you kind of looked inward to solve that with, I'm just thinking about, like, with the good culture side, because I feel like, building a strong culture, it doesn't happen overnight. It definitely, it takes, a good while. So with kind of where your culture's at now, like, kind of how long did it take to build it up to that point to get in to where it's this strong?
I would say it's ever evolving. I think it just gets better every day. While I think that our culture right now is very good, I still think that in a year or two, it's going to be 100 times better if we keep pushing the way we're pushing and trying to incorporate the changes, that we're trying to incorporate that make us better as a company, make us better as a team, and it's all the willingness of the team. And I just think that they are going to continue to get better. So I think we're in a really good place, but I think it's just, as it goes, I think it's just going to get better and better, like fine wine.
Yeah. 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 Something, we were having some culture. I wouldn't say there were issues, but there was a time probably 2.5 years ago when it was a little stale feeling. Like, we all got along fine, and things with clients were fine, but it was just fine. Like, it wasn't really, like, great. It was never like, it wasn't like, can't wait to get to work tomorrow morning. Like, it was just fine. Like, it wasn't great. It wasn't amazing. And I started, like, listening to some podcasts and stuff. And I listened to one podcast where they had suggested, like, culture it's almost got to be something that you document sometimes, like, what the culture is like. And the place to start there was to document the entire customer journey, and, like, what the customer should expect, and then kind of establish the culture around that. And I found that to be really helpful. And then while documenting that customer journey, I found so many holes in our process too. It was just like, oh, well, what happens here? I don't know, because we don't have it documented. So I started finding ways to, like, document processes, which helped a lot too. So yeah, so I guess, with kind of pivoting a little bit, back towards the marketing side with, with operations and with booking and culture and everything like that. So you got some, some good CSRs that kind of helped double the booking rate, stuff like that. Is there, in your opinion, like, what's kind of the role that, like, operations has in regards to, like, marketing? Because I feel like there's a lot of times folks, blame the other person. It's marketing, it's operations. What do you feel like the role of operations is with marketing?
They go hand in hand. I don't think you can have one without the other. It just wouldn't work. What would be the point of all the marketing if you don't have operations in place to keep things moving forward? And what operations are you going to put in place without marketing feeding that to you? So they are so integrated. I just don't feel like they can really be separated. They have to work very closely together. One of our former marketing lady, she was just so wonderful. I loved her to death. And we were just every day we're talking and we're game planning and coming up with a new idea or this or that. And it was always so great to put our heads together because we have very different backgrounds and we have very different strengths and weaknesses. And we just bounced off of each other very well. But yeah, I don't think you can ever have one without the other. I mean, it would be like trying to run a heating and plumbing company without heating techs and plumbers. What are you going to do? They don't want me.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like there's really three parts to it. Like there's the marketing and lead generation side. There's the CSR and dispatcher side. And then there's actually, the folks in the field completing the jobs. And I guess the CSR dispatcher side would just be kind of chalked up to the office operations in general. Do you hear that bird?
He's talking. Yeah.
He is a chatty bird. I'm sitting
I had to
outside
close the door so you couldn't hear all my dogs. So,
Yeah, it's an unfortunately beautiful 66 degrees and sunny outside right now. And that bird is just loving it too.
Oh yeah.
I was chatting with a client not too long ago and I was like, this weather is amazing. And they're like, no, this is the worst weather because there's just nothing's breaking. Nothing's running. But so yeah, anyways, there's the marketing and lead generation side. There's kind of the office operations side. And then there's the field operations, and they all have to be working together because marketing's first blame is always the CSRs. And then the CSR's first blame is always the leads. That wasn't a lead. That was a bad call. But there's also this third component of it of field efficiency, like job efficiency, everything out in the field of, they got the lead, they got the call, but they couldn't book the call because, well, we have 3 technicians on callbacks right now. So we're, so that pushed the schedule back and now we don't have any capacity. And so then the customer went somewhere else. So maybe it was a great lead and it was an unbookable lead because we couldn't get to them in time. So I totally agree. I think it has to all work together.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We make it a point, the techs, they call me pretty much for everything other than technical advice because I don't do that. But they call me because they need to run to a vendor. They need more time on this appointment. I have learned that my job is to be their support. I am their support. You tell me what you need from me. That's just, I think, the best thing I can ever do for them is to be that for them. And then, the office, the other ladies being that support as well when I can't. If we don't do that, they're just floating around out there. And that's just no good for anybody. It's not good for morale. It's no good for the customers. So yeah, all 3, they just have to work so well together. They just have to flow.
Yeah, absolutely. What would be some advice that you would have? I'm sure this bird has plenty of advice that he or she would love to give, but no one's asking you, bird. What advice would you have for listeners out there who may be, kind of work, operations side? What advice would you have for them for like improving their efficiency or anything like that, within the company?
I would say you have to talk to your teammates to get a better handle on where it's lacking, where they think things need to be beefed up. Whether that's your CSRs, whether that's your construction manager, your technicians, your service manager, just always having those conversations. We once a week, the whole company, we meet. And that is, the text time, especially to be like, Tiff, this happened last week. I didn't like it. Okay, what is your suggestion? How do you think we should fix this? And then I just need to take in everything that they're saying And then maybe we might not solve it right then, but we're still going to have another phone call not too long after that saying, hey, I haven't forgot. This is my take. You've got to keep all of that just so fluid and so open and just having those conversations.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. What if in the past when you've had those kind of conversations, what were some of the outcomes that you've had or you've seen from that?
One thing that they all know about me is I'm like, we're doing this and it's a great idea and I'll put it down on paper. And I'm like, this is our workflow. And then someone comes along and they're like, hey, that's great, but what if we did this? And I'm like, yes, that's even better. So I'm always, I'm like, guys, throw your ideas at me because I am only one brain. So let's put them all together, throw all those ideas out here. You know, if you have a better way of doing it, I am always open to exploring new paths. And that helps. And it gives them a sense of really being involved, especially the technicians.
Yeah. What's been the best idea that y'all have ever implemented that like you wish the whole world knew about?
Gosh, one thing that we do shout outs for reviews, and they are random when they're coming. You never know when they're coming. We have a group chat on our cell phones. So, you know, maybe Tom gets a 5-star review from this customer and I'm going to screenshot it or copy it and I'm going to send it out and be like, look at Tom getting another one. You know, and we do that for all of our guys, but it also happens in the trainings and in the meetings. And we are always making sure that they get their kudos for those 5-star reviews because they are the ones helping to earn them. They need to know about them. And it does a lot for their morale.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, giving them shout outs. And do you all do that like on social media as well and like online or just internally?
We were doing it on social media. We've backtracked on our social media because we're kind of revamping things. So we backtracked a little bit on social media. So right now it's internal, but I would imagine once we've got everything up and going, it'll be back on there.
Yeah. Awesome. No, that's really cool. I've found we have a client in South Boston, Virginia, and they do their social media in-house. And they do stuff like that where they'll have the technician or the CSR or whoever read the review and like they video them reading it and then they post on social media. And that's been a huge hit for them. Let's see. I think I can share my screen on here and I hope that all right. Oh gosh. Let's see. This will do. Because I think if I share my screen and the folks are listening, they can still hear. So it's like a video.
Rogers Plumbing and HVAC services are excellent and highly recommended. The technicians are very knowledgeable and definitely show a step over and beyond expectations. Great work and many thanks go out to the entire staff at Rogers for all work, which, by the way, got done the right way the first time.
Anyways, it's yeah, they like have the team read it. I think that's so cool. So like what I've found a lot of times, and the reason I asked about that is just like my marketing brain just thinking like anytime I've seen like folks, they'll share like someone from the team, you know, reading a review or highlighted on a review. I found that the team member almost always shares that post to their personal social media page, which is like, you know, everyone's always talking about like, yeah, which channel should I be optimizing and paying for? Should it be PPC or Facebook ads? And it's like, you could just share, you know, your technician with a 5-star review and they're going to go share that to their 1,000 friends on Facebook for free.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like, that's free engagement there, or exposure at least.
Yeah. Yeah. I would always, you know, I don't have all of the guys on my Facebook. Some of them don't have Facebook, but the ones that do, when we would do something, you know, I'd make sure I'm like, hey, I got you tagged in this, you know, that way, because I still know a lot of people in the area. So I think that it's really nice for them to see, you know, me posting about the company and the guys. So
yeah. No, that's awesome. Well, as we begin to land this plane, that's kind of I don't like that saying. That's like a weird to say. All right, we're starting to, as we begin to land this plane. I was trying to think of a similar Halloween reference, but it just didn't happen. Anywho, as we begin to wrap up, Tiffany, is there anything that we haven't touched on yet that you were hoping that we would chat about?
I don't think so. I think kind of covered quite a bit.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I guess for those listening, is there any way for them to reach out or get a hold of you or connect with you on social media?
Yeah. I'm on Facebook or TikTok. I don't do much on TikTok. I'm not that savvy, but I have it. But yeah, other than that, just Tiffany Arends on Facebook, based out of Missouri now since I relocated. Nice. But yeah, feel free to find me. I'm always happy to chat.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you being on the show today. And yeah, thank you all, everyone, for listening in to another episode of the Trademark. And if you haven't already, please leave us a rating and review down, especially if you're on Apple Podcasts. We always like to get feedback on there as well. And Spotify. I think Spotify you can give ratings, but Apple Podcasts for sure, because when you rate, it kind of helps us get the word out a little bit more. So thank you all for listening. Thank you, Tiffany, for being on the show. And I hope everyone has a great rest of their day.
And that wraps up another episode of The Trademark, where we bridge the worlds of the trades and marketing, one story at a time. We can't wait to see you next time. Thank you to the trades for giving back big, loving big, and taking massive action. Don't forget to join us next time for more engaging conversations and innovative ideas. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review and share it with your colleagues and friends in the trades and marketing. Your support means the world to us. Stay connected with us off the air by following us on social media. We'd love to hear your thoughts and get your feedback. Until next time, keep making your mark in the trades. Thank you for listening to The Trademark. Goodbye for now, and remember, we're with the trades for the trades.